the thumb and forefinger. Yeah, so I'm just saying, you're the one that brought that up, so that's why I was like, if you're gonna bring up that, then we got to bring up the real part.
Okay.
That was on a comedian show.
Okay. All right, so we're going to finances now.
Yes, finances.
Okay.
We're going to be financing. Really, I mean, it seems to me that right now the most important issue is credit card debt. I mean, we broke $1 trillion. It's 25%. The data just came out today that the under 40 is starting to default on their credit cards. The under 40 group. So they need to understand that they have a lot of equity in their home and they need to take advantage of that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I think. That's the big hot topic right now. So I think we ought to start in that direction and then kind of roll out from there.
Is that an age thing? Like just the millennial people coming
Well,
of age?
That's been since we were under 40 as well.
Well, but I think it has more, and I think we can hold that for the radio show, but I think it has more to do that as you get older, you kind of, when we saw this big boom a couple years ago, we've seen the busts and the booms, and so we didn't when it's your first boom, you just have this, it's never going to end.
And then you hear, recession.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I think it's something we should definitely discuss. Right? Hello, Austin, Texas. You're listening to the Home Team with Troy and Wyatt. We're bringing sports and money together for your education and entertainment. If you have any questions about anything we say today, please reach out to me at loansfromtroy.com. That's with an S. Loans.
Okay.
From Troy.com. Or you can give me a call, 855-299-HOME. You know, us 71 models, we like the phone more than the computer.
Yeah. Are you a texter or are you a phone guy?
I'm a phone guy.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
after
I'm
three...
getting used to this new era where people just text.
Yeah, and they won't talk to you. And I'm like, it's taken me 14 texts to explain to you.
I like the text if I just answer yes, no, or have one sentence. But
right.
If it requires me to put longer than one sentence, expect a phone call.
Right. But just so you know, at Security National Mortgage, who sponsors this, they're very good with the technology. Okay.
All right.
You know, and that's what they like to do.
So I'm not answering the phones, obviously.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And they like to help you turn your house into a home by financing
your
American dream. Do you like how I played all that in?
You did good. Look at you, like you've been doing this a couple times.
I hit all the points, but
We've
it's
been
like...
doing this for 3+ years now?
I don't know, but we did have some 3-year stuff popping up on the Facebook.
We did, yeah. So,
yeah.
We suckered them into letting us do this a long time ago.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the good thing is that now we have superstars that come on.
Yeah, they actually, well, we're lucky. Johnny Hidrogo. We call him, I want to say your nicknames, but I won't. So it's Hidrogo.
Johnny Hydro.
Johnny Hydro, yeah.
I do have a Johnny. So, okay, real quick story. So, naturally, that's because my last name's Hidrogo.
Yeah.
People can't pronounce Hidrogo. So, in the military, they called me Sergeant Hydro.
Okay.
In short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
and
it just makes my childhood name Johnny with Hydro. Johnny Hydro. There we go.
Yeah. It works, though. It works.
I like it.
Yeah. You know, well, this is, so, you know, Johnny, this is the money segment. And we try to use this because, growing up in the 70s and 80s, I think the general public has no understanding of what money is. I mean, you gotta think that's the first generation where the parents were splitting, moms and dads, and credit cards were becoming a thing and stuff like that. And so we just kind of, we were just thrown to the financial wolves to figure it out for ourselves. And some people have figured it out, and most people have not. And so we want to give as much advice to help people along their financial journey to make less and less mistakes, Like right now, we were just talking about it, income, financial booms, right? There was a big financial boom for pretty much everybody as long as you were not in the hospitality industry, right? 2020, 2021 was great for everybody but that industry, right? So if that was the first time you'd ever seen that, because we had some in the 80s, some in the early 2000s, but if that was your first time to ever see that, you just think it's going to just keep going and going. But if that's your second, third, or fourth financial boom in your life, it's short-lived. Grab what you can, just put it off to the side, don't overspend, because it's going to, what goes up must come down, so you're prepared for it, right? And so the data now is showing that, common thought that experience helps. The data is now showing it because, credit card debt in America broke $1 trillion, right? I'm going to say this.
That's crazy.
I'm going to say this. Credit card debt is $1 trillion at 24.9% interest. Okay.
So how do we start a credit card company?
I know, right?
Let's three of us sit down. We'll figure it out.
Right. But so right now the under 40 credit card debt owners are starting to go delinquent on their credit card debt.
That's not
Right?
good.
Oh, it's starting to get out of the normal. Well, because there was this. It might be only their second, or you know what I'm saying. This might be the real first financial windfall in their 2020s that they've ever experienced, and so they went out and bought nice cars and nice stuff and they didn't pay it down. They
And
didn't
also,
use cash.
that age group, it was common to hear the word recession, and then recession happened,
Yeah.
and almost
Yeah.
it seemed nothing happened really, And so when they hear that word again, they're like, yeah, didn't even do anything to me last time. Why is it going to do anything to me this time? I'll just spend it, kind of ride it out. In a couple months, I'll start making my millions of dollars again. So I think that's a big part of it as well. So this was a lot different than what people were used to.
And it's a learning. Unfortunately, it's a learning experience. But the basics of life never change. Don't overspend. Save every month. Live within your means. Things like that never changes. But as it just becomes harder and harder when, because right now we have the huge inflation. Even though inflation's down, but it already did its damage. Everybody's like, well, inflation's only 2%. Yeah, but it's 2% over last year. It was 10%. So it's 12%. So groceries are 40% more than they were 3 years ago.
Which is crazy.
And so, so now all of a sudden you didn't save, you put money on credit. Now your credit's maxed out and everything costs more. And that's why we have discussed and we have preached about living, a cash life. Don't go into debt, things like that. I remember the first time you're like, what do you do about a car? I'm like, well, you pay cash for one. You're like, how do you do that?
Yeah.
You buy a $3,000 car.
And I've done that. I'm just saying for most people
Yeah.
out there,
Yeah.
when they have kids and things, and they have to have a vehicle that is dependable to get their kids to and from school, work, and all the things to make their life go. I've also had that car that I bought for $1,000, and I ended up spending another $5,000 on it because transmission went out. So I'm just saying, that's where I was talking about when I brought that up. Just saying.
No, I agree.
You have to be smart. You're right. Bottom line is you don't need a Ford Raptor.
No.
Right.
No, you don't need it at all.
Yeah.
And if you're living paycheck to paycheck and you own a Ford Raptor, you've made a bad
You
financial
made
decision.
a bad financial decision.
Yes.
You can go get a used truck. It doesn't have to be $3,000, but it doesn't have to be $80,000, which a lot of people have.
Correct.
That and have $1,000 car payment and wonder why they can't afford a house.
Correct. But so, fortunately, and this is where Johnny's here to kind of guide us in the right area, is that if in the last 5, 6, 7 years you have bought a home, you have a ton of equity in your home right now.
Especially in the last 5 years.
I mean, a ton. I mean, I think that somewhere, I read a stat, and I want you to verify it, but I think somewhere around 30% of all homes owned have more than 50% equity, and like 39% are paid off. I mean, free and clear. Nationwide.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And so if you're struggling on your credit cards and you have this equity, the first thought, everybody's first thought is, well, I don't want to give up my 3% rate. And I get it. I trust me, that's an amazing thing. But when you take your total cash outflow, right, of your bills and your home, and let's just say it's $5,000, right, for the house payment and all your credit card debt, right, at 3% on your house. But if you go up to a 7% on your house and your total outflow goes from $5,000 to $3,800, then that 7% interest rate isn't costing you money. It's saving you $1,200 a month. And a lot of people don't look at their entire expense. I remember we had a gentleman, I remember he sat right here and we were talking about it, and he said he owned a BMW, and he asked me, I said, no. And he said, why? And I said, because they were the most expensive cars to own overall. As in repairs and maintenance and upkeep, oil changes and stuff like that. I said they're great cars, and they're not as expensive as a Mercedes, but over the life of 5 years, they're more expensive than a Mercedes because of the cost of upkeep. And so you have to think of your entire expense, every outflow, and those sort of things is what make the decision whether or not refinancing. Now, there are other options that you can still do, like a home equity line of credit, so you can keep your 3%, but and then the next one would be just that.
So pay your credit cards off with the amount that will go up to whatever the
and those are
interest rate.
those are 9.5 to 11ish%, and they're typically locked in at 20 years. But it that's like, it's not 25%.
Or 28%.
Yeah, and so those are great options as well. Not everybody qualifies for those because there's either not enough equity or they did a cash out on their current home, so you can't have two cash outs in your home. So there's a lot of restrictions in Texas. Texas is one of the more restrictive states when it comes to doing a cash out on your home, but that's because it has such strong homestead laws that if you're making your monthly payment on your house, nobody can take it from you, and that's not the same in other states. In other states, like if you don't pay your credit card, they can come and get items from your house and sell it at auction to pay down your debt. But Texas is very, 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 very adamant about taking care of the homestead. So cash out laws become a little bit more restrictive.
So right now, interest rates are kind of coming down, or where are they at right now?
Well, yes. So, where are we at? We're in September. Like what month are we in? August, rates climbed really high. So last October was the highest they had ever been. They had touched 8%. Well, in August they touched 8%, but luckily it was kind of in that time period where everybody was going back to school. So really nobody knew about it. And so now they're coming back down, but really they're just coming back down to what they were before they went up just a month ago. So we're still kind of in that area. The Mortgage Bankers Association has put out their opinion that they believe the fourth quarter will be the best quarter of the year for the housing market. And where they made this determination is that they believe that the feds are done raising the Fed rate. Okay, there's about a 300 basis point. I'll explain it if you want to call me. This gets pretty technical. So it's a 300 basis point spread between the mortgage rate and the Fed rate. Right, that's what it is right now. On average, it's around 180 on average. So there's 120 basis points that the mortgages can come down with the Fed rate not lowering. So they do believe the interest rates on the mortgages will start to fall in the fourth quarter, even though the Fed rate stays the same. They think that we'll get some stability, and that will spur on some refinances. Hopefully a lot of these people will do cash outs, because if you start missing your credit card payments, then you lose the ability to do the cash out. So you need to do it now as opposed to after you can't come to me when it's too late, and so, a lot of people stick their head in the sand when things go bad. And that is the absolute worst thing you can do right now if the credit cards have, now not everybody, I'm speaking to, I'm just saying, but if you know somebody everyone listening knows someone that's having a problem, struggling. If you hear those signs, have them call me and let's go over it, because I can't help them once it's too late.
How long after they get pre-approved or go through underwriting that they can keep that? 6 months before they have to have action on it?
What do you mean?
Well, we can talk about it next segment.
Okay, I don't understand the question. Sorry. Hey, everyone, you've been listening to the Home Team with Troy and Wyatt. If you have any questions, please reach out to me at 855-299-HOME. And as always, this segment is brought to you by Security National Mortgage, where we turn houses into homes by financing
your
American Dream. And we will see you all in just a minute.